presentation. It's Free Voice from Gaza. Actually, I used this name when I was in Palestine, and I applied for the U.S. student visa at the first time. My name on Facebook was Abed Al-Hadi Bashir as my name, but then the U.S. Embassy denied my visa at the first time. So that time we had a lot of foreigners, especially from U.S., Italy, and Spain in Gaza. So one of my friend, American friend, she's from DC, she told me, Abed, you have to change your name on Facebook because the U.S. Embassy can follow Twitter, Facebook, and they can make excuse for your visa denied, because that time I called Amnesty International and a lot of human rights organizations. So she told me you have to change it so you can keep yourself in the safe side. So this is an introduction, who I am, why I'm here, and my journey from Palestine. So my name is Abed Al-Hadi Bashir, and my friends here know me as Hakim. So, this is my real name, and I'm 25 years old. I was born and raised in Gaza Strip, in the middle branch, in a city called Deir al-Balah. Which means Tal? Date. But
I just think it's so beautiful.
Yeah, but I live in the refugee camp because we have the city and the refugee camp. So I was raised and born in the refugee camp, but even that, Deir al-Balah is not my original city. My original city is Jaffa in Arabic, but the Jewish called it Jaffa, so I used this name because the people know Jaffa, not Jaffa. So my family originally from Jaffa. So this is Deir al-Balah. This is my original city. It's not the city I was born in. Those for Deir al-Balah. This is in front of my house. So my house is like that. And this is Jaffa. So both are beautiful, but for me I prefer Jaffa. You know why? Because if I come back to Jaffa, I'll be rich. Because my family have a lot of money there. In Gaza, it's so horrible. So a brief introduction about my family. My father worked in 1948 in the Palestinian occupied territory as a builder. He lived all his life there until 2000, when he had an accident while he working there, and he became blind after 4 years. Like, he had an accident, but he didn't lose his blind like that, but he lost it after 5 years. It's like, okay. And that happened in 2001, and that time I was 15 years old, and my story started from there, because I'm the oldest one in my family, so I have to take care of my family, because my father that time he didn't work after the accident. So that time I had to work to help my family, to help my sister, and it's six. My family are 7, and there are 6, and I'm the 7th one. So I have only one brother, and 3 sisters. My brother now, he's 19 years old, and my sister, she's 21. She's studying in the 4th level in Al-Azhar University in English department, and the other one, she's 16 years old, and the last one, she's 3 years old. Sometimes I told my father she came by mistake, but every time he told me, she's better than you. So I started to work at 1999, but until 2004, this period, like 5 years, it was like voluntary work. Sometimes without money, sometimes with pocket money, like your transportation or something. I was satisfied because I just found myself. I tried to do something to help the people, and I was satisfied that time. But after I had to study at the university, it cost a lot in Gaza. Even if I can say that the 5 years in Gaza to study cost like 1 semester here. So 1 semester here equal the bachelor degree cost in Gaza. But even that, it's so expensive for us. Especially if you have like a blind father and family without any kind of economy. So you have, from that point, from that time, I decided that, okay, I can work as a volunteer, but even that I have to find a job for money. So my first job was at Syracuse Forum. This is one of the biggest NGOs organization. NGOs means non-governmental organization, because we will talk about NGOs a lot. So I got my first job there as to work with children that time, and then in 2007, as you know, it's at the university you have to make new friends, because I travel from there, but it's not travel, but every day I have a lot of friends in Gaza after 3 years, so I built like a network with a friend. So that time we decided that, hey, if we finish the BA, what can we do in Gaza? Because there is no jobs like what you can imagine. So I told them why we shouldn't start our work from now, because that time I was in the 3rd level and had like 1 year to graduate and then stay at home. So I told them why we shouldn't start our organization. And all of us, we are educated and we have a good experience with working with NGOs. So that time we applied for a license from the government, but they refused to give us a license, because that time they said they are young and they thought that we have like personal aims and goals. But we told them we need to open this organization and start to help the people, and we have a network with outside, and we can try to help them. But finally they refused, and I told my friends, hey, here's the deal. We can start working under youth group, not organization. So youth group, you can work and you have the organization rules, but without a license. So everyone has you can work back from the room. So that time I created in 2007 Volunteers Without Borders. This is a youth group in Gaza. This is the logo of the youth group, and that year, in December, I got the distinguished volunteer in Gaza from the government. After they refused to give me the license, they gave me the distinguished volunteer in Gaza. Then later, we start to have a good relationship with the government, and now Volunteers Without Borders is an organization, non-governmental organization in Gaza, and we are not like the Arab leaders. We didn't stay the whole life. So I was a leader for this organization for 6 months, and then another body became the manager, and I started to work on another thing. It's not necessarily out of volunteers, but with another position. Not the manager. This is my idea and I will not leave it. I left it. So after 1 year, this is my picture in the graduation ceremony, and this is the university president. That was in June 2008. So I graduated in June 2008, and I started my own private business with one of my friends. We have an internet cafe shop that time. Even my friend and I, we didn't study anything about technology, but it was, we love that. We love computers. We studied about that after the university, like 2 courses. and we started our own project until the castle in Gaza. My coffee shop was near one of the police stations, which is the biggest in Gaza, which was the first police station bombed in Gaza. And my coffee shop destroyed that time. We just worked for 5 months and we lost our money. So anyway, during the war, in the war you have two options. You can stay at home, as a lot of people, and say, it's not my business. Why should I go out and die? And that's what my mother told me. Why you should go out? I told her, I cannot stay at home. So something here in your head told you, you have something, because I worked for 7 years. During the 7 years, I got more than 25 certifications. First aid, disaster, how to manage the disaster management, leadership skills, a lot of certifications. So I told her, I'm going to the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, because I'm a volunteer there. And I worked, before that time, I worked for the Red Cross. So I told her, I'm going there, but before I go there, you have to tell me that you forgive me. She told me, no, if you go there, I'll not forgive you. And finally, when she saw me that I'm serious, she told me, just take care of yourself, and may Allah protect you. Allah sal ali, in Arabic. So I took my blanket, and we have like here the soup, the bag. Yes. Yeah. I took this and went there, and I didn't go back to home for 27 days. And at the first
I just want to.
At the first 1 week,
encourage you to go through. You have so many great slides. So.
At the first 1 week, I worked in the first aid unit. That time, the manager told us, hey, we as employers here, we have insurance. So if anything happened for our employers, the insurance will cover them. But as you and a couple of my friends, we are volunteer. So he told us, you cannot go work we call this field work, to help the people who are bombed. You can work in the office. So that time I'm speaking a little Hebrew, speaking English, speaking Arabic, a little French. So he told me, you can work here. We have office, which is coordinating between the Red Cross, the Israeli side, the Palestinian side, the Palestinian Red Crescent Society. We are trying to evacuate the dead people, the injured. So this office was a big experience. But I just worked in that office. And then at the last 7 days, they changed the place, and I worked in Gaza. Before that time, I was in Deir al-Balah, which is my city, but they need peoples in Gaza. So I went there, and that building consisted of 14th floor. So I worked in the 13th floor. So before 5 days, the Israeli army attacked this building, and they bombed the 6th and the 9th floor. So we didn't leave that place for 4 days, without food, without radio, without water, without anything. We had a radio, batteries, but it finished after 1 day. So we stayed there 3 days without anything, just waiting. Maybe we die, maybe we injured, maybe we can go without anything. So this is the place. Here is the logo of the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, and this is the ambulances. And this is the place I was in. So they bombed. This is like a fire, but it didn't destroy it at all. But they bombed the 6th and the 9th. And we were, so those are my stuff. And this is my cousin. His name is Mari Bashir. He's my friend since I was 4 years. We grew up together. We became friends. We studied at the same field. Everything, we were together. So we checked out the place after the Israeli left Gaza, and here's the place. Did you remember the graduation ceremony, which I get my certification?
Yes.
It was this place. We came to check out this place, exactly, because we got our certification from here. But we found it destroyed like that. So, after that, after the war, you know, a lot of organizations from all over the world, they thought that the Palestinian or the Gazian people, they just need money. A lot of money came to Gaza from all over the world, and a lot of projects worked in Gaza, and they need the people to work. And that time I was so lucky because I have a lot of certifications in many fields. So I worked for most of the NGOs organization in Gaza. I worked for the UNRWA in the summer cancer project after the casted. Then Save the Children. This is Swedish organization. I was the project coordinator for them. Then the Palestinian Center for Peace and Conflict Resolution. I worked for them with the children who are traumatized after the war and trying to make psychotherapy for them as a therapy. Then Sharik Youth Forum, I consider this organization as my home, as my second home, because I grew up there. That was the first organization which opened the door for me and gave me the opportunity. And they believe in me when I was young. So my loyalty for this organization. But now Hamas in Gaza, they closed it before 5 months. I don't know why. Nobody in Gaza knows what's the reason, but they closed it. Then Reward Foundation for development work. I was the training unit coordinator, then General Union, and finally the Palestinian Student Care Association. This is some photos of my work with the children, with many fields. So this is during Eid al-Adha. We have al-Adha, Eid. So the people in Eid al-Adha, they are celebrating, and we were working. Because we don't have time to celebrate. We have a lot of kids, a lot of families. They have a lot of problems. And we use this day just to make them have fun. Because I know a lot of families in Gaza, they don't have money at least to buy a new clothes for their kids. So we try to make something new. We bought some clothes, we bought some toys, football, something, and we were there just to help them.
How about, so maybe 10, 15 minutes, just remind you of time. 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a couple of my pictures. That girl, she came after the war. She stayed 2 months. She didn't speak. We had a psychosocial therapist, and nobody made her to speak. And then it was by chance. I was in the organization, and I saw her, and many people trying to speak with her. I asked, what's happened? Why she didn't speak? They told me she had a problem after the war and she couldn't speak. And I told them, I will make her speak. They told me, hey, we made a lot of people spoke with her. I told them, I will make her speak. Then I took her, and after 5 days she started to speak. And then my friends there, every time she come there, they call me, hey, your daughter is coming. So this is some of the pictures. I remember that day I was injured, but I insisted I'm gonna work. And they told me, you cannot work today. I told them I won't work.
How did you get injured?
It was a motorcycle accident. No.
All right.
So that was the last celebration in Gaza. That was with UNICEF. I worked for the UNICEF, and this is the UNICEF coordinator in Gaza. He's Japanese. His name is Mao. And those are my friends, and I was representing there. That was the childhood operetta for the 21st Declaration of Children's Rights. So this is my office in Gaza. This is during the strategic management course. I'm sorry, I'm speaking so fast because we don't have a lot of time. She told me
You may have, well,
No,
depending on how you
I'm
guys.
giving him time, but I know, because I went through the slides with
There's
you,
a lot.
you have some fantastic slides later on.
So
that
take
I'm-
the time you need, just, yeah, so you get through.
But I'm encouraging you to
We're
show
talking
the
about
slides
Gaza,
of
we
the
need-
Rafah, okay?
we need 60 years
Yeah.
to talk about Gaza
Right.
without stop.
Right, and I totally get that.
But
You have some
not
amazing-
60 minutes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm speaking so fast and going through.
But if you need more time.
So my story started at 2010. That time I got, in 2009 by the way, I got 2 scholarships, one from Catalonia University in Spain and the other one from Germany. But my father that time, my father and my mother, they get so, not so angry, but my mother started to cry and told me, not Germany, any country, not Germany. So why? She told me like that. I hate the name, and she didn't travel out, but she hate the name, not Germany. And I told her Spain, and Spain it was so hard to get the visa. So then, there is a Gaza Freedom March campaign. It came to Gaza, but the Egyptian government, they didn't allow them to come. So that time I know 70% of them only entered to Gaza. It was like 1,000. Only 7 entered to Gaza. And they entered through areas border from the Israeli side, not the Egyptian side. So that time, my friend here, he introduced me for women here, and he told me, Abed, Melissa, Mike, they will come to Gaza, and I need you to take care of them. I told them, okay, no problem. And I contacted with them and keep in touch. And I have 2 cousins in Egypt, so when they were in Egypt, I called my cousins and I told them just take care of them, take them anywhere they want, help them, and I will meet them in Gaza. So they didn't come to Gaza, and they came back to Pullman in Washington. And that time, Melissa asked me if you want to study or continue studying. I told her, of course I want, but I don't know what's my family option, because that time I built my new apartment and I decided to marry and stay. That's the end, because you don't have something to do in Gaza. I'm 25 and I have 2 jobs that time, so I feel that that's everything. And then I told my father, hey, I want to travel. He told me, I don't have money for you, and where can you travel? And US, it's, you know when somebody, he's a Muslim and became out of Islam? That's what happened with me. When I told my father the first time I'm going to the United States. Because he told me, it's so hard for you. And then I started to speak, to convince, and I let my friends speaking with him, and finally he told me, okay, you can go. You know, I'm speaking here, and maybe you can get confused, but the youth in Gaza, we are not here like, I'm sorry, not the US youth. We cannot like travel like that and if he accepts it or not. I can't do that. I cannot go out without my father acceptance. Even if I can do, but I didn't, unless he told me I accept. So that's what happened. Then, this is I just got this today, the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. Article 13 said, everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. And I thought, the person who put this, put it for the US people, not for the Palestinians. Because I just read that he mentioned state, not country. And that's what happened for me. So, I applied for Washington State University for PhD program in cultural studies. After 1 month, they accepted me. They sent me I-20 forum, which is the acceptance. They sent me the acceptance letter, and they told me you have to apply for the visa and come. You are so welcome here. So I applied for the U.S. Embassy, which is in Jerusalem, not in Gaza. And I have to go through Gaza to Jerusalem, and I have to go through Erez border. Erez border, it's the death crossing. We call this for the Jazim. So I applied for a permit from the Israeli side, which is DCO. DCO means District Cooperation Office with the Israeli side. And finally, after 2 months, they sent me a permit, and I went to the border 4 times. Every time I went there, they told me go out. And the 4th time, I get mad, and I had a trouble with the soldier there. I asked him, what is that? He told me this is a permit. I asked him, so why you didn't let me go? He told me this is my mood, go back to Gaza. Okay, then I went back to Gaza, and I called Amnesty Gisha organization. And Gisha organization, it's an Israeli human rights organization. And they start to defend for me. And there is the court, they called the Supreme Court in Israel. But finally the Israeli army won and I lost my case. Then finally my friends here, they called the senators of Washington, Mary Catwell and the other one.
Patty Burke.
Yeah. They called them and they sent me a recommendation letters for Gaza for the U.S. Embassy. And finally, the U.S. Embassy helped me to go out. And when I went there, easily they denied my visa. Why? They need $36,000 as a bank statement to convince them that I will come back to Gaza after I finish. And if my father have 36,000, why I will come here? So then later, I thought I will give up and I will stay in Gaza, but my friends, they told me no. Now it's a matter of dignity. We have to win this case. After that, if you don't like to come, it's up to you. So we started to call a lot of. I called the whole magazine in Europe. I know a lot of people there, and the Bell Telegraph in the United Kingdom, Dutch Welle in Germany, here Daily Green, BBC, a lot of organizations, Amnesty, Gishad, Damir. And I make like a brochure, and finally Hillary Clinton sent a message to the US Embassy, and then they refused. The US accepted. The US Embassy accepted, but the Israeli army, they refused to let me go from Gaza to Jerusalem. Finally, my professor, his name is Michael Hayes. He came from Washington. This is Michael Hayes. He's my head supervisor in the PhD program. He came from Poland to Israel, and he escorted me from Gaza to Tel Aviv because the U.S. Embassy that time refused to accept me for another interview before 6 months because I went to the second interview before 6 months. So if you denied at the first time, you have to wait until 6 months. So I went to Tel Aviv in Israel.
I do encourage you to, this is a fabulous story.
So that's okay.
So, because I know we want to leave
Yeah, for
people with some
questions.
questions and answers.
So let's try to go
just
till
keep
around
going.
4:30.
We have Gaza Strip. This is the historical Palestine, and this is Gaza Strip, and this is the West Bank. I know that most of the people here know where is Gaza, but this situation happened for me in WSU. One girl asked me, "Where is Gaza?" I don't know where is it. But when I told her, if I said it's Israel, she smiled. Oh, yeah, I know it. So
And one of the things that's helpful in this part of the world, in Seattle at least, is that Gaza Strip is about the size of Lake Washington. So really tiny. You know? So this is where you live.
yeah, this is where I live. This is my original city, Deir el-Balah. So this is the main areas of Gaza. This is the north of Gaza, Beit Hanun. This is central Gaza, Gaza City. And this is Deir el-Balah. This is in front of my home. This is in Khan Yunis, which is the south of Gaza. So here's some facts about Gaza Strip. This is the new statistics. It's 2010. Some statistics said Gaza, it's 1 million and 1.5 million, but the new statistic is that 1,750,000. So the Israeli, this is the new catastrophe in Gaza. The Israeli blockade since 2007 until the present. If we are talking about, movement by air, we don't have airport in Gaza. Even we have one, but not working. Yeah. By the sea, banned. You have the gumboots. You cannot go after 3 miles. Medical reference restricted. We just get the medical service from Egypt through the tunnels. Sometimes with a campaign. Sometimes the people died in the borders. This is the life in Gaza. Import of basic goods and fuel restricted because when we have to send something outside of Gaza, it should go from Karni border, Karni crossing, and Karni controlled by the Israelis. And yeah, this is Karni. Karni is, by the way, it's a Jewish, it's an Israeli word. And we have a Montar. So the Israeli changed the made in Palestine to made in Israel. So the Palestinians stopped that because they took our goods and sell it as if it's Israeli, not Palestinian. So we stopped that. So here's Gaza. This is a basic map. We have 4 crossing, which is areas for the people, then Al-Muntar for the goods, and then Sofa. This is for the building supplies, especially, and then Rafah, the south of Gaza. This is for the people who want to go out of Gaza. So this is from the UNRWA website, which is good idea about the blockade in Gaza. So here from 2005 until 2009, the people who left Gaza, it's like we can see. But look at the people who left it. The people in Gaza, I cannot say nobody hates his country, but the situation there, they don't have like a good life, the basic priorities of the life, of the good life. So a lot of people, a lot of educated especially, they left Gaza. And in my point of view, this is what the occupation needs. But I wish I could see someday that they will come back to Palestine.
Let's try 5 minutes.
This is Carney for the medical, for the building supplies. This is before. This is this is from 2005 until 2008. Look at that. This is the imports, and this is the exports. So from here, they start to be zero.
But I think what's also interesting on this is that they were never allowed to export very much. I mean, it's flat now, but it certainly was not impressive even before.
So here's the blockade impact. This is a real photos. More than 100,000 jobs lost. Shortage of medical supplies. Electricity reduced and sometimes absent. I mean, I think the pictures can express without my speak, but so go back to that photo. Here, when Ziad in the morning said that I feel I'm lucky here because I can get showered every morning, and I told him my best of wishes for you because in Gaza he was really. We cannot take as here every morning shower. We're buying the clear water like every 3 days by these plastic gallons.
Where's your power source?
It's okay.
Well, because you're running out of power.
Where's the plug?
So.
There's a plug up here, behind you.
Good charge.
We got it.
Where's your, is it plugged in?
Do you have a charger?
Maybe it's a good time to stop now.
Wait a second.
All right, you have 5 more minutes.
Yeah,
We're giving you 5
yeah,
more
I
minutes.
know.
The crowd's giving you 5 more minutes.
We spent 8 months in Gaza without any kind of petroleum. So the people in Gaza, they used, go another picture, they used the cooking oil for the cars for 8 months. So this guy, he used the cooking oil, and this is this is the healthy impact, and this is the end, the result.
No.
The engine light destroyed.
And it smokes.
So the tunnels, king of Gaza. Here, this area, it's about 5 miles. We have in 5 miles 2,200 tunnels. It's like a kingdom under Gaza. So, the people outside, they thought that the Palestinians smuggled weapon drugs, but the fact that the Palestinians, they smuggled the milk, needle milk, the cement, goods, cars. This is from the tunnels. This is some facts about the tunnels. It's not necessary about that. Every tunnel costs $3,000, $30,000. This is the cost. Like, this is Jabalia school, and this is the white phosphor.
Yeah.
So this is the targeted places. This is from Israeli organization. So here's the comparison. Look at these numbers. Go to, yeah.
Sorry.
This is, no, it's okay. This is the final number. So 1,400 murders of the Palestinian and 14 Israeli. Everyone equal 100 from the Israelis. So this is the challenges. Before we go to the challenges, we have like horrible pictures now. So this is the school. That was a shelter for the civilian, the people who don't have homes, which they destroyed their homes and they took the school as a shelter, and then they bombed the school with a white phosphor.
It was an UNRWA school.
Yes.
It was a
It
United
was
Nations.
for the honor
It's the
one.
United
It
Nations.
was
United
a
Nations.
United Nations school.
Yeah. So this is the medical supplies. And wait, this is for the UNRWA. The UNRWA used this to save the food, to give it for the poor people.
The warehouse.
Yeah, and they bombed it. And John King, who was the leader, that time he came here. I don't have the photo, it's in another slideshow. So after the war, you can see a lot of tens of thousands of houses destroyed,
It's a checkpoint.
checkpoints, everything. So this is the final thing of the presentation. You can imagine Gaza. This is from the north, Erez. This is the Erez gate. No. This is from the south, Rafah. This is the gumboots, Israeli gumboots. So, and this is not a war. This is a daily training.
The what?
A daily training. It's not
in
a
the
war.
east of my city. We got
On
this
the buffer
facility
zone.
from the border. Even those gates, also they are building a new wall in the north and the south of Gaza because they didn't feel so safe. That's safety. They need another wall. So this is the wall. This is the new generation of wall because this made by the American company here, and nobody can run this. So stop there.
Yeah.
No,
You want to see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
You want it to be at the end? Okay.
I actually think that's.
Well, now we still have some ample amount of time, so you can share some more through people's questions if people want to address questions to either of the speakers.
Any questions welcome.
What?
Your questions welcome. For me, for Laura, it's okay.
I just, wow, those last slides were tough to look at. Because I think about not just Rachel Corey, but I think about all the other people that have been bulldozed inside their houses.
By the way, Rachel wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
Five foreigners in Gaza they killed, and just couple of days in Belaim, the West Bank, another journalist killed. So Rachel, she was the first, but she will not be the last one. Even we love this girl because she lived in Gaza for a long time, like. And her work was with the families, with the poor families. But most of the foreigners who went to Gaza, like, they're trying just to read or to take pictures. But she worked, we call this field work. She went to the people, she lived with them. This is the difference between her and the others. I don't say that because she died, but this is the truth. Because she worked on the ground. Not from the hotel, just to call somebody, to go take pictures. This is the difference between her and the others.
The difference is that Rachel's work is still working
We're all
Exactly.
right here.
Her message now, it became more and more spread around the world. And at least when I was in Olympia for 2 weeks, in her anniversary, I just called my friend, and one of them asked me, "Where are you now?" I tried to call you on Skype. I told him I'm in Olympia with Rachel Corey. He told me the 3 organizations here today celebrated. It's not celebrated. They celebrated her anniversary. So she's still in the Palestinian mind, and even here from everywhere. So she still lives in her soul with us.
Is it true also that many people in Gaza name their girls Rachel? And
Some families in Gaza they named Rachel, and I know another one. He named his son for one of the British. Yeah, James. Even this is like a critique name. The people will start because we are Arabs and we don't have these names. But some people they name. They don't care about the people.
I was just gonna say, sorry, I looked with them about the Rachel thing. What I was gonna say is I think you had a bunch of statistics up there, but the one thing that I learned not too long ago is I believe there's 73,000 plus orphans in Gaza, which was just, yeah, and there's only, I think that was reported, a guy actually from Al Jazeera, like no one's really been reporting about that, but that's pretty devastating.
Basically, you can say, for me personally, I don't have the stats, but if we are talking about 1,400 killed in the last operation, the last class led, you can imagine 1,400, how much everyone has in his family. So this is not a big number. Even it's like today, before 4 hours, 14 of the Palestinians killed. Before 3 or 4 hours, 14 killed today. And they bombing Gaza since yesterday, and they didn't stop. So I think it's a new operation, but it's not the last one. But this is like long time, for long time. That one it was 27 days, but the next one will be for a long time, with this kind of bombing everywhere and kill Palestinians. So the international world will not judge them, because this is not like offensive operation.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I wonder if either of you could talk about the response of the international public health community to what's going on in Gaza in the way of professional aid, material aid, looking at the impacts of water supply. Could you talk about that?
Yeah.
Either one of you?
You know what? The doctors in Gaza, we have a good doctors in Gaza, but a lot of them, they get their certifications from Russia, Uzbekistan, Sudan. So they are doctors with names. So for me, I'll tell you, for my father, he get blind, and if they were a good doctors, they can treat him that time. They can find a treatment, but we sent his papers, his documents for the U.S., for Germany, and in Germany they found a medicine for him. But that time we didn't have 770,000 euros. So a lot of doctors from here. I remember one from Seattle before 2 weeks or 3 weeks. He just came back from Gaza. He's a heart doctor, and he did a lot of surgeries for the Palestinians. So the Palestinians, most of them, they depending on they went outside for Egypt, for Jordan, for anywhere. When somebody gets sick or something, they leave.
What about water? This lady was asking about the water situation.
May I speak to that? There really is a huge crisis of water. As I was mentioning earlier, we met this toxicologist. The Israelis north of the border have underwater aquifers that they're stopping the natural flow of fresh water in. Because of all the land that is so tilled right around Gaza, the freshwater supply is a huge crisis. People are anticipating that within 3 years, and with the continued population growth, there will be no potable water within Gaza, regardless of what they do to the sanitation. And I would love to address one thing. I have utmost respect for all the doctors that I work with, not only given how they train, but I was working with people who not only spoke fluent Arabic, they spoke English very well, and they would speak Russian or Ukrainian, or they had studied somewhere else and then come back. And there are, without question, some things that are not available in Gaza. Dialysis is not available. But what I consistently began to see is that exactly what Albert was saying, is that there's not a confidence in the doctors there, but it's a really vicious circle. And often when people are really so sick that their supplies are not there and available, then they get taken across the border, they get permission to go into Israel or perhaps into Egypt before the recent kerfuffle in Egypt. And it's like here, if you wait until the last minute to get your kidney cancer addressed and then you die and then you think, oh, it's the doctor's fault. But really, I have a lot of respect for the people that I work with there. They were really tremendous, working in incredibly limited resources, with medications that you can't count on being there, with power going off. The hospitals all have generators that go on, but you know, I've worked in much darker places in Africa where there was more consistent power supply than the hospitals would have.
I want to just add something. Even we have like skillful doctors, we don't have the equipment. So if you're talking about heart surgeries, I'm not sure that they have the new equipments for the doctors. That's why they depending on the outside for the humanitarian campaigns, like the Flotilla, like Break the Siege, which is with George Galloway. They brought something for Gaza, but sometimes they cannot use it. And for the water, I can't say that every 3 days we have to buy with 20 shekels. This is the Palestinian currency or the Israeli currency, which we deal with. So if we're talking about 100 shekels for my family, but some families they need more, and this amount of money is incredibly expensive for the Palestinian.
It's like $4 for a
$4 for the jar. So it looks like I buy a solar or gas, and even that is not that clear water, but this is the only thing we have. For the shower or for something, you have like a schedule. So after 3 days, you have to stay.
I'd like to maybe open 15 minutes up to you to share, if you'd like.
I'd love to comment further that what I was first impressed with that is, this is really poor country. And the longer I've been in Gaza, the more I realize that it's like any other country. There's wealthy, very wealthy people there. And I no longer delude myself into thinking that everyone's living in a refugee camp. So just like here, I was shocked to realize how much infertility clinic goes on there, because having a child is really important, having a male child. If he had gotten married at 24, now his mom might be different, but I saw so many young men. I told you I'm a urologist, so they've been married for 3 months, and if their wife isn't already pregnant, they're in with their sons. And if they have money, and some people do, because they either have family members, work in the Gulf states and come back, I was really surprised. So for some people who are business people there is money. There are people who are living in places, but it's a very thin layer of society, like it is increasingly in our country. You know, some people can afford all the health care they want, and then people who cut our hair or do our nails or work and have no health insurance. So there's very little for the majority of people there, but there were some hospitals that had the state-of-the-art equipment. And that was really surprising to me, and it may not even be common knowledge to the average person living in Gaza that it's available, because if you don't have the money, you're not going to know. Then you can go make a baby through an in vitro fertility clinic, just like you can here. And I think it's huge amounts of money. And I would just say that I'm so impressed. I'm left listening to him, discouraged and disheartened, and I really liked, I think the man may have left, who bore witness to the legacy of Rachel Corrie and the difference she's made in her death that might not have happened if she was still living. And that there's so many people who were doing this work beforehand, but that, like that fable or story about the sand dollars on the beach or the starfish and the little boy coming upon the older woman and saying, what are you doing? You know, throwing them back. And well, for that person whose life she saved, you make a difference. And that's why there's so many of us, including us, who, like everyone in this room. And I know this room is filled with choir members. And I'm here to ask every one of you to keep charging out whatever you do and sharing it with a broader audience. This last trip One of the nurses on the trip was a very, I would say, almost evangelical Christian. So coming not from like the Seville Conference and Palestinian Christians, but that it is the right of Israel to have all that land. And now it's great because she's come back into her church and been giving talks and opening it to a different segment of our society so that more people can really know a different view, in my view, the truth. Then, but because so thank you very much. And if you have any other questions related to healthcare or people that are just amazingly resilient, and the food is magnificent, and that's another conundrum for people is thinking, wow, how can you have good food in Gaza when you hear that no one has food? The tunnels bring food in, and the Israelis, since the flotilla incident last year, now Israel is happy to import food into Gaza. So people who have a little bit more money can serve you oranges and chicken, and then if you're in the camps, you're not getting that kind of food. So it's very confusing.
They cannot bring McDonald's. It's not a problem. But the problem is the Palestinians, they don't need food. I usually say that we don't need food. We don't need money. We need the truth. We need the people outside to understand. We need to educate the people. I don't like to see one person to ask me, where is that? What is that, Palestine? What are you talking about? So if you ask me this question, all the money, I don't need it. Why I should need money? And you just send the money or you give me money, but you don't know where's your money go. And I can say that here today, one of the Jewish, that girl, she's a Jewish. She's a journalist here, and she came to ask me, do you think that there is a relationship between the money which goes to Gaza, to Israel, and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? I told her absolutely yes, because we are talking about Washington, only Washington, $2.1 billion every year from Washington budget goes to Israel. So if the U.S. use this money to improve the education, the medical circumstances here, to the kids, everybody in the life, so this money will not go to Israel, and they will stop the war, and we will have the negotiation. So here in Washington, they will have a lot of opportunities, and we will stop another war. So I don't know. The only thing we need is the sense of humor. I'm really sure we need the people we need love. It's not love as the American understand. We need to love each other, to bridge this gap between the Palestinians, the Israelis, the Americans. Everyone has this certain idea that I'm the true, I'm right, and everybody's wrong. We should understand. We should have this kind of sharing, like idea we can build on it and start to have a good community. My father told me before the Nakba, the Palestinian and the Jewish, they can stay in one home, drinking tea together. They went to the forest together. They can play football together. Everything they can do it together. But after the Nakba, everything changed. Organization and start to help the people. And we have a network with outside, and we can try to help them. But finally they refused, and I told my friends, hey, here's the deal. We can start working under youth group, not organization. So youth group, you can work, and you have the organization rules, but without a license. So everyone has you can work back from the room. So that time I created in 2007 volunteers Without Borders. This is a youth group in Gaza. This is the logo of the youth group. And that year, in December, I got the distinguished volunteer in Gaza from the government. After they refused to give me the license, they gave me the distinguished volunteer in Gaza. Then later, we start to have a good relationship with the government, and now Volunteers Without Borders is an organization, non-governmental organization in Gaza, and we are not like the Arab leaders. We didn't stay the whole life. So I was a leader for this organization for 6 months, and then another body became the manager, and I started to work on another thing. It's not necessarily out of volunteers, but with another position. Not the manager. This is my idea and I will not leave it. I left it. So after 1 year, this is my picture in the graduation ceremony, and this is the university. I had to work to help my family, to help my sister, and it's a 6. My family are 7, and there are 6, and I'm the 7th one. So I have only one brother, and 3 sisters. My brother now, he's 19 years old, and my sister, she's 21. She's studying in the 4th level in Al-Azhar University in English department, and the other one, she's 16 years old, and the last one, she's 3 years old. Sometimes I told my father she came by mistake, but every time he told me, she's better than you. So I started to work at 1999, but until 2004, this period, like 5 years, it was like volunteer work. Sometimes without money, sometimes with pocket money, like your transportation or something. But I was satisfied because I just found myself. I tried to do something to help the people, and I was satisfied that time. But after I had to study at the university. It cost a lot in Gaza. Even if I can say that the 4th 5 years in Gaza to study cost like 1 semester here. So 1 semester here equal the bachelor degree cost in Gaza. But even that, it's so expensive for us. Especially if you have like a blind father and family without any kind of economy. Deir al-Balah is not my original city. My original city is Jaffa in Arabic. But the Jewish called it Jaffa, so I used this name because the people know Jaffa, not Jaffa. So my family originally from Jaffa. So this is Deir al-Balah. This is my original city. It's not the city I was born in. Those for Deir al-Balah. This is in front of my house. So my house is like that. And this is Jaffa. So both are beautiful, but for me I prefer Jaffa. You know why? Because if I come back to Jaffa, I'll be rich. Because my family have a lot of money there. In Gaza, it's so horrible. So a brief introduction about my family. My father worked in 1948 in the Palestinian occupied territory as a builder. He lived all his life there until 2000, when he had an accident while he worked there, and he became blind after 4 years. Like he had an accident, but he didn't lose his blind like that, but he lost it after 5 years. It's like okay, and that happened in 2001, and that time I was 15 years old, and my story started from there because I'm the oldest one in my family, so I have to take care of my family because my father that time he didn't work, after the accident. So that time, so you have, from that point, from that time, I decided that okay, I can work as a volunteer, but even that I have to find a job for money. So my first job was at Syracuse Forum. This is one of the biggest NGOs organization. NGOs means non-governmental organization, because we talk about NGOs a lot. So I got my first job there as to work with children that time, and then in 2007, as you know, it's at the university you have to make new friends, because I travel from there, but it's not travel, but every day I have a lot of friends in Gaza after 3 years, so I built like a network with a friend. So that time we decided that, hey, if we finish the BA, what can we do in Gaza? Because there's no jobs like what you can imagine. So I told them why we shouldn't start our work from now, because that time I was in the third level and had like 1 year to graduate and then stay at home. So I told them why we shouldn't start our organization. And all of us, we are educated and we have a good experience with working with NGOs. So that time we applied for a license from the government, but they refused to give us a license, because that time they said they are young and they thought that we have like personal aims and goals, but we told them we need to open this. The name of my presentation, it's Free Voice from Gaza. Actually, I used this name when I was in Palestine and I applied for the US student visa at the first time. My name on Facebook was Abed Al-Hadi Bashir as my name, but then the US embassy denied my visa at the first time. So that time we had a lot of foreigners, especially from US, Italy, and Spain in Gaza. So one of my American friend, she's from DC, she told me, Abed, you have to change your name on Facebook, because the US embassy can follow Twitter, Facebook, and they can make excuse for your visa denied. Because that time I called Amnesty International, a lot of human rights organizations. So she told me you have to change it so you can keep yourself in the safe side. So this is an introduction. Who I am, why I'm here, and my dream from Palestine. So my name is Abed Al-Hadi Bashir, and my friends here know me as Hakim. So, this is my real name, and I'm 25 years old. I was born and raised in Gaza Strip, in the middle branch, in a city called Deir al-Balah, which means tal, date. But
I just think it's so beautiful.
Yeah, but I live in the refugee camp, because we have the city and the refugee camp. So I was raised and born in the refugee camp, but even then,